I'm Arlene, host of the television talk show Ask Arlene, which airs on Thursdays at 6:30. And as a business consultant and life coach, I help you to move forward in your business, project, or endeavor. So if you always wanted to write a book, but you just haven't seemed to get started, or you always wanted to 10x that business that you already have, expand it to the next level, you know exactly what you need to do, but you just haven't done it? Well, I've already purchased all the courses, read all the books, the Tony Robbins, all sorts. I have several degrees, including a master's degree and credits toward a doctorate. I've sat with and met celebrities and done the networking. And what I realized is what I really needed was a mastermind group of people working toward my project, my business, or my endeavor. So what I've done is met with coaches and met with experts and put them together to work on your project. So join us today for our mastermind networking group. I'll see you there. Click the link below and join us. Hello, and welcome to the Ask Arlene show, the show where you get to ask the questions and we answer them. We're so excited to have company with us today in the personage of Mr. Al Pizarro. He's our guest on the show today. He is the founder of Hip Hop Boulevard. He is the author of a book called Am I a Good Father? He is also a former VP and president of the Education Council in our area. And so I'm so honored and so excited to be able to introduce him to you today so that we can talk about how to overcome fear, get unstuck, and live your best life, even as a single father. Like, I can talk about it from a mother's perspective, but I really can't talk about raising kids from a father's perspective. But before we do that, I just want to remind you that this is the Ask Arlene show and invite you to subscribe at Ask Arlene Show, www.askarleneshow.com, and also to invite you to subscribe on YouTube, which is at bit.ly/Ask Arlene subscribe. And the idea is that you're going to give us information about what types of shows we should do in future, and also give us feedback on the shows that you've seen in the past. And on this one, you're going to comment below and tell us what you liked, what you didn't like, and what you want to see more of. Okay, great. And also don't forget the 5,000 step per day challenge, where we want to help you to overcome fear and get unstuck. But one of the major ways that you can do that and feel better is to move, to begin walking, to begin moving so that you can get out of that rut. To physically get unstuck is the best way to get mentally unstuck. So every day we walk, we do 5,000 steps, but you don't have to do 5,000 steps. You just have to do something. The idea is that we're going to take incremental steps and have incremental wins so that we can have the big wins, like the gentleman on the show today, which is Mr. Al Pizarro. Hey, Al, how are you?
How you doing, Arlene?
Hey, it's great to see you again after so many years.
Yeah, I see you've been busy.
Legend in his own time. He worked with me on the Education Council. That means he didn't just raise his own kids, but he also worked at raising the kids in the neighborhood, in the community. And now he's put all of that knowledge about how to raise kids and how to truly be a winner into a great book. Now, how did you have time for this book when you were doing the Hip Hop Boulevard, Al?
Look, the book was always in me, but my wife was the one that convinced me to write a book. And when I thought about it, I said the only thing that I could really write about that passionate for me was fatherhood, being a father. So all I did was just kept on writing every day until I put it all together and had some help to edit it. And, and it just came together. It took me 2 years to get it all done.
Wow. So you wrote the book just recently, but it took you 2 years to write this book. Now, we
Yes.
also don't want to shortchange your introduction because we want to let people know that you are the one of the original founder of the Hip Hop Boulevard in the Bronx, New York. So tell us a little bit about that Hip Hop Boulevard before we go into your actual journey with raising family by yourself.
So when you Google hip hop and try to get the history of it, it's gonna give you an address, 1520 Sedgwick Avenue, Cool Herc. And that's where Cool Herc did his first back to school party in a community center there. So
Mhm.
that street right there, it was myself, my son Alex, Tony Tone from the Cold Crush, Terry Nelson. We went through the process to change the name to Hip Hop Boulevard.
Okay. So if you're into Curtis Blow and what they call old school hip hop, the founders, the originals, you would be one of those people that are on the map, but you've actually created this boulevard to commemorate all that's being done. And I know recently the borough president for the Bronx did a get together with LL Cool J and all of these Curtis Blow and the founders so that they could do a hip hop museum. So
Right, the
you are
Universal Hip Hop Museum.
absolutely. So you're on the cutting edge. You're on the ground floor of all the exciting things that are happening with that industry. So with that being an exciting industry, everybody knows that there's a lot of excitement. Okay, I'm going to put it that way. Women and fun and things that are associated with that particular industry that are somewhat negative. So how do you come out of that, raising two kids successfully and also being the father of the community where you're truly instilling good, positive Christian values into the people? How does that come about?
Well, I gotta say God first. You know, that kept me focused. Because if you go and you think about the foundation, the basic foundations, and I don't want to get into a religious debate or discussion, but I want to say
Right.
this. It's real simple. If you love your fellow person like you love yourself, you're good. So just follow that and you're going to be okay.
That's a great way to put it. If you love other people like you love yourself, you're going to make progress, you're going to do well. But if we take it a step further and we look at that industry and what it's been associated with, every hip hop artist who receives an award after they finish bumping and grinding and jerking and doing all sorts, they get up on stage and they say, I would like to thank God for giving me this award. So, what's the difference and distinction between just saying it and truly going out in the community and spending your time and your effort and your energy to really instill hope and love in the kids of the community? What
You know,
was the
when the,
differentiating factor between you and just words?
a lot of times people will say, God, please help me at this moment. But when they're doing great, they don't mention that at all. They're doing great. And they actually believe I did it all by myself. So the difference is to know that he's in control all the time. And
Right.
and that you focus on doing the things and not just talking the things. And that's what we get. It's a blur. It's a gray area, and people get confused. Well, I talk about God and I love God and I do this, but when you went drinking out the other night, you were hanging out the other night, you were doing this and doing that the other night. What you do doesn't reflect what you said. So you have to really think about your words, because words are powerful. And if you say something, make sure you owe up to what you're saying.
Okay. So, what was your journey like? Tell us a little bit about what you had to overcome and what you had to come through in order to arrive at this place where you're the president of the Education Council, where you're the father of Hip Hop Boulevard, where you've raised successful kids in a successful community. What was your journey like? Because we don't want people
The-
to think that you just started out this way and you just popped out of the womb being perfect.
well, think about it. I'm raising my kids and I'm raising them by myself. And I had to make some choices. Did I want to raise my kids living a different lifestyle? Or did I want to raise my kids giving them the aspirations and the vision of a new lifestyle that I will have to learn myself while raising my kids. So, and that was the choice that I made. I said, you know what? I want my kids to have better and have more. So I'm gonna have to do more and do better.
So did you actually come through a painful divorce as well? Why you
Well,
ended up
yes.
being the father of
Look,
two kids? And I hope you don't mind my sharing because you didn't really say anything was off limits.
right. So
It's
yes,
too late now,
I
though.
no. Look, yes, I went through a custody battle for my kids. I had a
Right,
fight for my kids to get
right.
custody of them, and the system is not built that way. So I went through everything that you could imagine to try to convince them that I was a good father for them, where the standard was it will always go to the mother. So that was a process, but that was heart wrenching because if you if you're doing that and you're saying that, and the court is saying, "Well, we don't believe you," what
Right.
does that do to you every time you leave the court and go back home and you're thinking about more about the failures, you're thinking about more about it's never going to happen than the possibilities of it happening. I prayed
Okay,
a
so
lot.
there,
I,
I know, I know. And I've seen your work, your handiwork. When I needed help, I had a business and it was on a major strip, and we needed to move out of the office space right away. And we didn't know how we were going to get out in the timely manner so that we wouldn't have to pay another month's rent for the office space. We called Al Pizarro, and he was able to figure out how to move out the furniture and make things happen. So you have a reputation for making things happen. Now, for all those other people who are watching and maybe they've gone through a divorce, or maybe they have had difficulty raising their kids and they need to continue on, what would you tell them to do that you did in order to overcome and come through?
you have to understand that it's doable. You got to have that in your mindset. It's doable. You cannot listen to people that are going to tell you about all the failures of everybody else.
Right.
For me, prayer and staying focused in that helped me out a whole lot because some people may say meditation, do some therapy, do all those things combined works. I'm not saying it doesn't, but when you're alone and you're to your thoughts, and that's when it happens. That's when the thoughts come in and saying this may be too much for me. I don't know whether I can make this happen. This don't look too good. Those are the times that you dig deep, deep down, pray to whatever God you believe in, and really go and do the next step and say, okay, I got this day done. Tomorrow's another day. Every day you start fresh.
I think that's a great message to say that every day you start fresh. I've written a book. It's called The 10 Secrets to Overcoming Fear and Getting Unstuck. Number one in that book is clarity, knowing where you want to go. But number two is exactly what you just said, which is I call it visualization, but I also say people call it prayer, people call it meditation. I call it visualization. It depends on where you are on the spectrum, what you call it. But absolutely, like just visualizing and praying and seeing the end from the beginning so that you can see yourself getting out of the situation is key and of utmost importance. You didn't just do that, like stop and visualize, but then you actually took it to the next level, which is step number three, which I call momentum and movement. So you had the pain and the loss and the grieving, and yet you still were able to move forward and have momentum. And a key thing is the voice. So when people are going through that difficult time, like divorce and challenge, like we've both gone through, we
Right.
kind of tend to lose our voice. We kind of tend to want to just regress and just not deal with the world. So with my situation, I had a major job. I don't know about if you know about this, Al, but in recent years, I had been hired and recruited for a job in another state. I went in good faith, took the position, moved, rented a new apartment, moved the family, and then shortly thereafter, a new board came in and I got fired. But I didn't just get fired, Al. I got publicly fired. Like my
Oh,
picture was on the front page of the newspaper. And across my face, it said fired. So there was a whole level of like anger and fear and distress that was all around me, because I said, somebody asked me, well, did you steal money? You must have stolen money for them to do it like that. And I was like, no, I wish I had stolen some money. At least it would have been worthwhile. But no, but the challenge was, how do I use my voice after that? How do I get up after that? And how do we still live the life that we were meant to live, making changes in the world and pushing and being who we're supposed to be? So I'm going to take a quick break. And then when we come back, you're going to answer that question for us and tell us how you were able to maintain that wonderful disposition that you have of truly being a mover and shaker, not only in the hip hop community, but in the parenting community and throughout the world. So we'll talk to Al in a few minutes when we come right back.
I'm Arlene, host of the television talk show Ask Arlene, which airs on Thursdays at 6:30. And I'm here to tell you 2 reasons why you should join our Speakers Bureau training and how to become a world-class speaker. 1, revenue generation. People who know how to communicate well earn more dollars and cents. And 2, if you have a day job, you're not a speaker, teacher, author, trainer, you're going to gain promotion on your job if you're better able to communicate with confidence in those board meetings. Now, you say, why should I join your group, Arlene? There are so many programs out there. Well, I'm guaranteeing you an interview on television or radio if you complete our 10 sessions of our Speakers Bureau training. So I have a plethora of friends that do the same types of things that I do. And so we're guaranteeing you an interview on either television or radio. And you say, well, why else, Arlene? Why else should I join? Well, if you join our Speakers Bureau, after having taken the 10-session training, I am going to help you, along with our team, to launch that speaking career that you always envisioned, so that you can use your message to change the world. So there's so many programs out there and they tell you how to be a speaker, but I'm going to actually help you to get booked on paid speaking engagements on television and on radio if you complete all 10 sessions and you join our Speakers Bureau. I hope to see you there and see you using your dream, your vision, and your talent to change the world. Bye-bye. See you there.
Hello, and welcome back to the Arlene Show. Our guest today is none other than Al Pizarro. He's the founder of Hip Hop Boulevard, with the Curtis Blows and the Al Batellos and all of those people who really worked to see that this genre of music come to light and come to life. And so we're also here with him discussing his new book, Am I a Good Father?, where he is going to share with us how he not only raised 2 successful children, but he was the president of the Education Council and has worked with kids throughout the community. So Al, hi there.
Hello.
Okay.
How you doing?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I can't complain,
So I see. It's just a pleasure to spend time with you, as always. It's been too many years.
Yes, absolutely.
We need to not make it like that.
Look, and Arlene, I'm so proud of you where you're at right now.
Thank you.
Helping people, that's your heart.
But I learned from the best. I learned from the best. So tell us now, Al, how is it that you're able to continue to make these strides in the community with young people? So many people these days are talking about how young people are rough, young people are going the wrong direction. But yet you've written this book, Am I a Good Father?, where you highlight how you have been able to handle the bumps and the bruises? Because I know it wasn't always easy. Tell us some of the bruises that came along the way with your kids, but yet you were able to navigate it and still have them go back on the right track. Because I think that's the biggest piece. We know that sometimes kids go astray, but how do we make them come back, which is what you've been able to do?
So one of the most difficult things for me was the fact that when I had custody of my kids, and my daughter was 2 years old and my son was 9 years old, that at that point in time, who's gonna comb Gabriella's hair? Who's gonna braid her hair? Who's gonna comb it? Who's gonna do all these things for her? I made a decision that I was gonna raise them alone, and I was not going to get involved with somebody else in my life, because I wanted to make sure that whatever information, whatever they learned, came from me and didn't come from me and somebody else that may have some things that I may not agree with. And that's what happens in relationship. You take from different people, different things, and your children take a lot more because they're learning. So they'll grab something. So if you go out with somebody that's a smoker, they may start smoking because they see it. If you go out with somebody who has a different, the language is just a little off here and there, the same thing. So I kept on staying focused and reading the books that I needed to learn more, because obviously you always gotta keep on getting more information and learning. You don't know it all.
I think you hit on something really key. I mean, the show is not about how to date appropriately, because it's not really about dating, but what you just said is key, that you really need to be careful who it is that you're dating while you have young kids, especially in your home, because some of their qualities and some of their characteristics may rub off on your kids. So there's so many situations where we see that young kids are in detrimental situations, and it's not the father who did something, it's the girlfriend or the boyfriend, the person who isn't really related to the kids. So I really commend you on being able to take that stand. How are you able to do that? Because usually people say, well, I have kids, but I come first. My
first thing I did a lot of therapy. Because I had to figure out what was wrong with me first. And naturally I said, ain't nothing wrong with me. I'm good. It's the other person. So when I went to therapy, they said, well, you got a lot of stuff in your closet here, Al. Wow. Let's see if you could first come to terms to say, yeah, I agree. That's not good. And that's not good. When you get to that place when you're actually identifying the things in your closet that are not healthy for you or somebody else, you can start working on them. If you don't identify them, how can you work on them? Right. So that was important for me. Doing that helped me move forward to be able to do everything else I wanted to do, because it changed my demeanor, it changed my language, it changed my thought process, and it was able to be effective for my children because they were able to see that in me.
That's great. I'm very glad that you mentioned that you actually went to counseling and you were able to talk to somebody who helped you to move forward. So I told you about the situation with my job. Well, subsequent to that, I don't know if you remember my mom, but she was very, very instrumental in my being involved in community organizations and community service and politics and all these huge jobs that I had or held. And so when she passed away, subsequent to my losing that big job, it was very, very traumatic for me. And I didn't want to do anything. I pretty much lost my voice and just sat. So I didn't go to any functions. I didn't, try to save the world or save the community anymore, because she was really my impetus for doing that. And so I sat, and eventually I started reading books and going to conferences, because I knew that was not the healthy methodology. But when I did the counseling, now the counselors were supposed to help me to clear out my closet. Well, my mom's closet, so that she could, move on, take out her things. And it was so hard for me. I just wasn't able to do it. So I would go every week, Al, and they would say to me, you need to clear out the closet. And I'd say, yeah. Did you clear out the closet? No, I'm going to do it next week. And then I'd pay another $150 and they'd say, you need to clear out the closet, Al. And I'd say, yes, yeah. But I just wasn't able to do it. And it wasn't until I started coaching being coached by a coach where she said to me, okay, this is the technique that you use to start moving in that direction. You're going to take the things out of the closet, put them in the garage. Put them in the basement. So I took them from the room and put them in the basement. No big deal. It was a small step. And then from the basement, I was able to put them in the garage, another small step. And then from the garage, finally, little by little, we were able to get the things out. So I'm completely a proponent that we all need help, and we need to acknowledge that we need help. And if we don't admit it and get some, then we're going to be in the same situations and not be like you, where you've written a book and now you've authored the Hip Hop Boulevard and you've moved on from the challenge. And now you're happily married.
Yep, that's right. So, and that's another thing. Who do you want to marry? What type of person? What are you looking for? Because if you had all these problems in your past, and so you're always picking the same person, personality wise, look wise, the mannerism, and it's not working, then you really got to say to yourself, why am I picking that type of person?
That's a very good point, Al. I had a divorce attorney say to me that people marry the same person that they've just divorced. Correct. 9 times out of 10. So you're absolutely right. Oh, this is my type. I like this type. But why? Why do you like the type of person who's consistently incompatible with you? Maybe you need to get a coach. Maybe you need to get a little bit of counseling. You need to talk to somebody so that you can move forward and get to step 3 instead of just,
I'll tell you one thing about men. Men should learn to find their other half, their soulmate, that would challenge them to be better. And a lot of men are scared of doing that.
They don't want the women to tell them what to do, Al?
Look.
Well, here on the Ask Arlene show today, we're going to resolve that.
I'm just saying that there's a lot of stuff in the book that I'm just sharing, and basically,
so before we have to sign out, give us another tip.
Another tip: when you're thinking about all the things that you heard when you were a kid, you're gonna be the man of the house. You're going to be responsible for your sister. You're responsible for your brother. You're responsible for your mom. All these things. This is happening at 10, 11, 12 years old. You don't have a clue. You're not, you say, yeah, okay, yep, that's right, yep. You're going to be the man of the house. Understand that it's okay to say, when I'm ready to be the man of the house, or how am I going to be the man of the house, then I will take that responsibility.
Right. And not give those kids, and not give the kids the responsibility before it's their time. That's great advice to parents who have young gentlemen that they're raising. Thank you so much for joining us today, Al. It's been a pleasure for these 29 minutes. You've got to promise to come back again. And I ask you to please subscribe to our show so that we can give you more shows that are in line with what you're interested in. Thank you. Have a great day. And subscribe. Bye. There's the information link below.
Good. Stop the growth, I bet you think you could. Said you gon' leave me, man, I wish you would. Yeah, I'm different, so I'm misunderstood.